Welcome back to the channel, folks, where we dive into the wild, wonderful world of men transforming into women in all kinds of fascinating ways. If that's your vibe, don't forget to smash that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Now let's jump right into today's story. Michael descended the stairs carefully, still adjusting to the way his body moved. His hips swayed slightly with each step, his balance just a little different than before. It wasn't bad, just strange. It's like I've been given a completely different vehicle to drive, he thought, gripping the banister more tightly than he would have before. Same driver, entirely new mechanics. Every movement required conscious thought. The distribution of weight was all wrong, or rather, all different. His center of gravity had shifted lower, his hips wider, his stride naturally shorter. Even the way his feet connected with each stair felt foreign. The arches higher, the impacts softer. "This is what babies must feel like learning to walk," he muttered under his breath, his voice still startling him with its higher, softer timbre. "Except I have the added benefit of knowing I used to be able to do this without thinking about it." When he reached the bottom, he made his way toward the living room, where Claire was curled up on the couch, sipping tea with the television on in the background. She must have sensed his presence, because she turned her head casually, only for her eyes to widen in shock as she took in the sight of him. Her cup of tea paused mid-air, her mouth slightly open. "Oh my God," she breathed, staring at him. Michael shifted uncomfortably, adjusting the silk robe around him. "Morning, really? That's what you lead with after transforming into a completely different person overnight." He chided himself, internally. Claire blinked rapidly, shaking herself out of her daze. "Are you okay?" she asked, setting her cup down and immediately standing up, stepping toward him. "Define okay," he replied with a nervous laugh. "Physically, I feel fine. Mentally, I'm processing the fact that I basically went through puberty in reverse overnight." Claire approached slowly, her eyes scanning every inch of his transformed figure. There was something almost clinical in her gaze, mixed with an undeniable fascination. "It's incredible," she murmured, circling him slowly. "The transformation is more complete than I expected at this stage. Your bone structure, your proportions, they're almost identical to mine at 18. Michael exhaled, running a delicate hand through his long blonde hair. "I mean, yeah. It's just weird," he admitted. "I feel fine. But moving is strange. My balance is off, and my hips feel like they're in the way or something." He attempted to demonstrate, gesturing toward his newly widened hips. "They're like these shelf-like protrusions that I keep bumping into things with." "How do women navigate doorways with these things?" Claire giggled at that, shaking her head. "Yeah, I can only imagine. You've gone from a straight up-and-down male figure to having hips almost overnight. Your muscle memory hasn't caught up yet." "Muscle memory?" Michael scoffed lightly. "More like I need completely new software for this hardware upgrade. My entire movement pattern needs recalibration." "It'll come naturally sooner than you think," Claire assured him. "Your body is smarter than your conscious mind gives it credit for. Right now you're overthinking every step, but soon enough you'll move naturally." Michael gave her a half smile, though it still felt odd seeing Claire's own features reflected back at him. It's like looking in a time machine," Claire said softly, studying his face. "You look exactly like I did at 18, before I filled out. But after my facial features had matured." "Great," Michael quipped. "So I've got the awkward gangly teenage girl phase to look forward to next." As if this wasn't challenging enough already. "Oh, don't worry," Claire reassured him, with a mischievous smile. "The filling out phase is quite fascinating in its own way. You'll develop curves in places you never thought possible." "I can hardly wait," Michael replied dryly. I'm sure having breasts suddenly sprout will be just as delightful as having my skeleton completely restructured overnight." Then Claire tilted her head, studying him more closely. "You know, I don't think I can really call you Michael anymore," she said thoughtfully. "Not when you look like that." She gestured toward his entire form, the delicate shoulders, the slender neck, the unmistakably feminine face framed by long blonde hair. "You don't exactly scream Michael anymore," she added. "It would be like calling a rose a cactus. The name just doesn't fit the package." Michael hesitated, glancing down at himself. Ah, she wasn't wrong. He looked almost entirely female now, save for one small remnant of his old self. If someone saw him out in public and heard the name Michael, they would definitely be confused. "I suppose Michael doesn't quite match all this," he agreed, gesturing toward his transformed body with a sweeping motion. "Unless I'm going for the parents who gave their daughter a traditionally masculine name vibe. Which you're definitely not," Claire said firmly. "The whole point of this is for you to become me, and I'm definitely not a Michael." Claire smiled. "I think it's time we start calling you by your new name, Emma." Michael, Emma, felt a strange flutter in his chest at the name. It was familiar, yet foreign. It was supposed to be his name, but saying it out loud still felt like stepping into new territory. "Emma," he repeated, testing how it felt on his tongue. "Emma? It sounds so formal." "We can call you Em for short," Claire suggested. "That's what my friends used to call me in college." It felt slightly better, less weighty somehow, less laden with expectations. After a moment, he nodded. "Yeah, that's probably a good idea." "Really?" Claire looked surprised at his easy acquiescence. "I was expecting more resistance." "What's the point?" he replied, with a small shrug that felt strangely natural in his new body. "Look at me, Claire. I'm not exactly screaming Michael anymore, am I?" The name would be more jarring than helpful at this point. Claire beamed. "Great. The sooner you get used to it, the easier it'll be. Plus, it'll help when we go out in public. People won't look at you weird when they hear your name." "Yes, because that's definitely the only reason people might look at me weird," Emma replied sarcastically. "It's definitely not the fact that I'm basically a walking clone of you from a decade ago." "You'd be surprised," Claire countered. "People generally see what they expect to see. If you dress appropriately, carry yourself with confidence, and respond to a name that matches your appearance, most people won't look twice." Emma sighed, rubbing his temples. "Yeah, one less thing to worry about." "And it's practical too," Claire added. "We need to start building your new identity. Social security, driver's license, credit cards, all of that will need to be updated with your new name. Might as well get used to hearing it and using it now." "Oh God, I hadn't even thought about all that paperwork," Emma groaned. "Being reborn is surprisingly bureaucratic." "Welcome to womanhood," Claire quipped with a wink. "More paperwork, less pay, and considerably more complicated clothing options." Claire clapped her hands together lightly. "All right. Well, first things first, I'll go get you a cup of tea." She started walking toward the kitchen, but paused at the doorway. "And after that, we really need to figure out some clothes for you, because there's no way anything of yours is going to fit now." She eyed Emma's transformed figure critically. "You've lost at least 4 inches of height, and your shoulders are probably half the width they used to be. Your old clothes would hang on you like circus tents." Emma looked down at his slender frame, draped in nothing but the oversized silk robe, and let out a small, defeated chuckle. "From business suits to borrowing my clone's wardrobe," he mused. "Not exactly the career trajectory I had in mind." "Don't worry," Claire called over her shoulder as she headed into the kitchen. "We'll go shopping later. Get you some things that actually fit properly." "Shopping?" Emma's voice rose slightly in alarm. "In public, like this?" Relax. Claire's voice floated back. Everyone will just think you're my younger sister or cousin. We look similar enough that no one will question it. Great, Emma muttered, glancing down at his transformed body again. First day as a woman, and I'm already being forced to go shopping. The stereotypes begin early, I see. I heard that. Claire called from the kitchen, the sound of a kettle being filled underlining her words. And trust me, you'll thank me when you have clothes that actually fit your new proportions. That robe isn't exactly suitable for daily wear. Yeah, that's probably a good idea, Emma conceded, tugging at the silky fabric that draped loosely over his slender shoulders. He cautiously lowered himself onto the couch, still unused to the way his body moved. Even sitting felt different. His narrower shoulders, his altered spine, the way his hips connected to the cushions. Everything is the same, but different, he murmured, experimentally crossing his legs in a way that would have been uncomfortable in his previous form, but now felt strangely natural. Claire grinned and disappeared into the kitchen, leaving Emma sitting in the middle of the living room, still adjusting to the reality of his new form. Emma, he reminded himself, at least in name. The name still felt foreign on his tongue, in his mind, but he supposed that was to be expected. His entire body was foreign too, a complete redesign of everything he'd known for over 3 decades. As he waited for Claire to return, he glanced around the familiar living room. Seeing it from a slightly different perspective now, literally, given his reduced height, the world seemed just a bit larger, spaces a bit more expansive, as if everything had been subtly resized while he slept. So this is what being a woman feels like, he thought, running his hands over the smooth skin of his arms. Softer, smaller, lighter. It wasn't unpleasant, just profoundly different, like switching from one instrument to another. The music might be the same, but the way you created it, experienced it, had fundamentally changed. Emma sat at the kitchen table, hands wrapped around the warm ceramic mug as she took slow sips of her tea. The warmth was soothing, but what she really needed was food. Her stomach was already making its displeasure, known after having gone without for 2 days. Even my hunger feels different, she thought, noting the hollow, almost fluttery sensation in her now smaller stomach. As Michael, hunger had been a dull, persistent ache. Now it felt sharper, more immediate, as if her body's ability to tolerate deprivation had diminished, along with her physical size. Her slender fingers, still unfamiliar in their delicacy, traced the rim of the mug absently. The sensation of the smooth ceramic against her newly sensitive fingertips was oddly fascinating. Every texture seemed more pronounced, more detailed. I see you examining those new hands like they're alien appendages, Claire observed with amusement as she moved around the kitchen. They're pretty useful, those dainty fingers. Wait until you discover how much better they are at detail work. They're like having upgraded hardware, Emma replied, flexing her fingers experimentally. Higher resolution, but lower strength settings. Claire placed a plate in front of her, with some toast and scrambled eggs. You need to eat, she said simply, sitting down across from her with her own breakfast. Your body just did an extraordinary amount of work reconfiguring itself. You need fuel. Emma nodded, taking a bite, and sighed softly. It tasted incredible, probably more so because her body was practically starving. Oh my God, she mumbled around the mouthful, her eyes widening slightly. This tastes amazing. Another side effect, Claire explained, spreading jam on her own toast with practiced precision. Your taste buds are more sensitive now. Women typically have more taste receptors than men. It's why we tend to be more particular about flavors. So I'm basically experiencing food in high definition now, Emma asked, before taking another eager bite. Because these are literally the best eggs I've ever tasted, and I know they're just regular scrambled eggs. Precisely, Claire nodded, looking pleased. Just wait until you try chocolate. It's practically a religious experience with female taste buds. Claire watched her for a moment before speaking. So, how do you feel? Emma paused mid-bite, thinking for a moment before swallowing. It's weird, she admitted. I feel so light, not that I was ever really big before, but now it's like I barely take up any space. And I just feel weak. She flexed her arm experimentally. The slender limb, a stark contrast to the moderately muscled one she'd possessed just days ago. It's like someone took all my physical capabilities and dialed them back by 30%. I feel fragile. Claire nodded knowingly. That makes sense. Your muscles are completely different now. You've lost a lot of mass, and your body is still adjusting to everything. It's not just strength, Emma added, setting down her fork. It's like my whole sense of physical presence has changed. As Michael, I was solid, substantial. Now I feel, I don't know, almost ephemeral. Like I could be blown away by a strong wind. That's the reduced bone density and muscle mass, Claire explained. Women have about 15% less muscle mass than men on average, and our bones are generally lighter and less dense. Great, Emma muttered. So I'm literally less substantial now. As if the physical transformation wasn't disorienting enough. It's not all downsides, Claire countered. Your reduced mass makes you more agile, more flexible, and your muscles, while smaller, have greater endurance. Men are sprinters. Women are marathon runners. So I traded raw power for stamina. Emma asked, taking another bite of toast. Interesting design choice. By evolution. Or in your case, by Dr. Carter's retrofitting of your DNA, Claire added with a wry smile. Emma sighed, poking at her eggs with her fork. And everything just feels so much more sensitive. My skin, my balance. Everything. She ran her free hand along her bare forearm, marveling at how even that simple touch sent tiny shivers of sensation across her skin. It's like someone cranked all my sensory dials to 11. I can feel the air currents in the room, for God's sake. Claire sipped her tea with a small smile. Yeah, that's normal too. Your nerves are more finely tuned now. You'll get used to it. But clothes will help with that. I always thought sensitive skin was just a marketing term for fancy moisturizers. Emma remarked. Turns out it's an actual biological reality. Women's skin has more nerve endings per square inch than men's, Claire explained. It's why we're generally more responsive to touch, temperature changes, fabric textures, everything. Is there a practical evolutionary reason for that, or is it just to make life more complicated? Emma asked, only half joking. Probably related to child-rearing, Claire suggested. Greater tactile sensitivity would help with caring for infants, detecting fevers, that sort of thing. Fascinating, Emma murmured, though her tone suggested she found it more disconcerting than interesting. So I'm essentially walking around with a full-body upgrade of my sensory system. Emma raised an eyebrow, close. Claire nodded. Yup. What? Right now, your skin is hypersensitive because you've basically got brand new nerve endings. Wearing proper clothes will help dull that sensitivity a bit, make you feel more grounded. Let me get this straight, Emma said, leaning forward slightly. I'm too sensitive, so I need to put more things touching my oversensitive skin to make it less sensitive. That seems counterintuitive. It's about consistent, even pressure, Claire explained patiently. Your brain will adjust to the constant sensory input and start filtering it out as background noise. The silk robe is too light, too inconsistent. It brushes against you in unpredictable ways, which keeps triggering your sensitivity. So proper clothes are like sensory white noise, Emma mused. Consistent enough to fade into the background. Exactly, Claire confirmed. Plus, They'll give you a sense of structure, of containment. Right now, you probably feel a bit unmoored in your new body. Properly fitted clothes will help with that. Great. Another thing to get used to. Think of it as an opportunity, Claire suggested. Most women spend their lives figuring out what clothes work for their body type through trial and error. You get the benefit of my decades of experience. I already know what will look good on you, because it looked good on me. Emma raised an eyebrow. Are you suggesting there's an upside to turning into someone else? Because that's a pretty thin silver lining. I'm suggesting, Claire replied calmly, that since this is happening whether you like it or not, you might as well focus on the aspects that aren't completely terrible. Claire chuckled. Oh, plenty of things to get used to. But for now, we'll just stick to the basics. Since none of your old clothes will fit, you'll have to borrow some of mine for now. Your current clothes, or your archived teenage clothes? Emma asked, gesturing to her slender, still-developing frame. Because I'm pretty sure I'm nowhere near filling out anything in your current wardrobe. I've kept clothes from various stages of my life, Claire admitted. Call it sentimentality or foresight, but I've got some things from when I was about your current size and shape. Emma nodded slowly, realizing how much sense that made. She glanced down at the black silk robe, which did little to help her feel normal. So, what's on the menu? She asked wryly. Please tell me you weren't into anything too embarrassing during your awkward teenage phase. I don't think I could handle crop tops and platform shoes right now. Relax, Claire laughed. I was pretty conservative at your current stage. Lots of jeans, simple tops, nothing too frilly or revealing. The scandalous fashion choices came later. Thank small mercies, Emma muttered, taking another sip of tea. Though I have to say, the concept of revealing takes on a whole new dimension when you suddenly find yourself in a female body. Claire continued, but after next week, once your curves start coming in, your breasts, your hips fully forming, we'll go shopping for stuff that actually fits you properly. Wait. Emma set down her mug abruptly. Breasts, next week, that soon. Did you think they'd take months? Claire asked, looking amused. The transformation is accelerated. Remember, Dr. Carter designed the virus to complete the full process in about 6 weeks. You're already almost halfway there. But that means Emma trailed off, glancing down at her currently flat chest. Yep, Claire confirmed with a knowing smile. By this time next week, you'll be needing a bra. And trust me, you'll want one. Unsupported breasts are uncomfortable, especially new ones. This is surreal, Emma whispered, more to herself than to Claire. I'm sitting here calmly discussing my impending breast development. Over breakfast. Would you prefer to discuss it over dinner? Claire quipped. The schedule remains the same regardless of the meal. Emma sighed but nodded in agreement. It wasn't like she had much of a choice. I suppose I should be grateful it's happening gradually, she conceded. At least I'm not going to wake up tomorrow with a complete set of feminine attributes. No, that comes the week after, Claire said matter-of-factly, taking a sip of her tea. Emma nearly choked on her toast. Excuse me. Well, not all at once, Claire clarified, seemingly enjoying Emma's discomfort. But, according to Dr. Carter's timeline, the final phase, the full development of your reproductive system, should begin around week 4. That's when the last traces of your male anatomy will be, shall we say, repurposed. Repurposed, Emma repeated faintly. That's a very clinical way of putting it. Would you prefer something more colorful? Claire offered innocently. I could use metaphors involving butterflies emerging from cocoons, if that's more your style. No thanks, Emma replied hastily. Clinical is fine. Clinical is great. Finishing the last few bites of her breakfast, she placed her fork down as Claire did the same. Look at it this way, Claire said, gathering their empty plates. By the end of next month, The physical transformation will be complete. No more waiting, no more wondering what comes next. Just the new reality to adjust to. That's supposed to be comforting, Emma asked incredulously. It's supposed to be perspective, Clara replied. The uncertainty is often worse than the reality. Once everything is done changing, you can focus on adapting rather than anticipating. Claire stretched slightly and stood up. All right, let's get you dressed. Into what? Emma asked, glancing down at the silk robe that was her only current covering. I'm not exactly spoiled for options at the moment. I've already set aside some things that should fit, Claire assured her. Nothing too challenging for your first day as Emma. Just some basics to get you comfortable in your new skin. Emma took one last sip of tea before setting the mug down and pushing back her chair. Standing up was still an adventure. Her center of gravity remained unfamiliar, her balance slightly precarious. She'd need to relearn even the most basic movements in this transformed body. This must be what astronauts feel like, she commented as she carefully adjusted her stance. Training for months just to walk normally, in a new gravitational reality. Except, you've had about 12 hours, Claire pointed out. So I'd say you're doing remarkably well, all things considered. Together, they made their way toward the stairs, Emma still hyper-aware of how different her body felt with each step. Do you think John will be back soon? Emma asked, gripping the banister as they began to ascend. I'm curious what his reaction will be to all this. She gestured vaguely at her transformed self. Knowing John, he'll make some inappropriate joke, then proceed to treat you exactly the same as before, Claire predicted. It's one of his better qualities, his ability to roll with the bizarre. And this definitely qualifies as bizarre, Emma agreed. Even by the most generous definition of the word. As they reached the top of the stairs, Emma paused, looking down at her delicate hands, her slender forearms, the silk robe draped over her transformed figure. This was just the beginning. The thought was both terrifying and strangely exhilarating. Whatever happened next, one thing was certain. Life would never be boring again.